Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and yes, we got a banger for you today. It is being reported as, if you want to say some drama news, is that Crazybob has refunded his account. About $30,000 is what is being reported. Along with that, he has quit the game again, reportedly. And this, at the moment, has been corroborated by at least a few people, along with me reaching out to Bob and asking him to as well. And it seems to be the case, at least as it pertains to the refund. But he is still able to play the account to an extent. So in the video, I'm going to show you some DMs with Bob in-game, which are totally harmless. I'm going to read off some player responses or replies for people that are a little bit closer to the situation or just know a little more than I do. And then we're going to also take a look at what has kind of led to, or what we could say is the lead up to this decision by Bob happening based on some Discord posts from him in the past as it pertains to the devs. So let's start off again with looking in game. So if we go here, right, we could see Bob isn't in an alliance anymore. This has been the case, I believe, for a couple days. If I go into the chat, you could see if I scroll up, I had asked Bob. I said, hey Bob, heard a rumor you refunded your account. Any truth to this? He said, what do you want to know? Testing if I can message this, his last one did not go through. I had tried to, but it didn't. You could see here, right, all the errors I was getting. Watch, even if I do it again, right, I said reached out on Discord reached out on Discord as in-game is giving me message errors. I don't know if this is going to go through. All right, we'll try again. Yeah, so see, it didn't go through again. So again, I don't know if that's because of the account status. I tried to send a friend request in-game just a little while ago, so maybe that might fix it if he's able to accept it. I don't know to what extent he's able to as far as on the account. But now let's go and read through some of the additional information, right, that I've gotten from some people that are a little bit closer to the situation than I. And so I had asked, the response I got was that Bob had refunded a large amount on the account. He's now negative several million gems, if that's the case. The account is more or less kind of disabled or just limited in kind of actions and scope where he can't send out any legions, at least until the gem balance gets back to the positives, if that's true. And then when I had asked, was there any reasonings, were there any intentions behind why Bob refunded the account now, I was told that he just wasn't feeling it anymore as far as the game. Last season, apparently he did the same thing when he was unhappy with the devs. This was kind of around when the whole elixir policy changes, legion size changes, behemoth difficulty changes were happening, on just how difficult it was, right, if we're kind of talking going into 2+. And then, basically just stating that, yeah, he might still return. Now, I don't know to what extent. Obviously, Bob sent me a message after the refund happened, so, clearly maybe he's still checking in. And, so now, before we kind of dive into a little bit more of the particulars, let me, or me kind of giving you my thoughts here and there, let's go and look on Discord to give some additional context, right, to some of the posts. And I'll scroll down here. Maybe this will probably be better. Maybe I'll go top left. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just do kind of weird, but we'll go top left. So you can see here as, right, one of the posts here from Bob, and I just kind of did a quick search here so that way I could see, and I just did a little keyword search for devs, just because he has a lot of messages, and so I thought we'd be able to kind of filter this a bit, right? So one of the first ones is, you open migration 24 hours, WTF, no time to think of solution to the devs messing up the game, right? So you can kind of see already a little bit of frustration, right? At the based on, and again, bear in mind, this isn't just Bob. A lot of people felt this as well, right? So this was more about the fact that it was so soon when that migration popped, and I believe around this time this was going into 2+. Ending season 2, ending the first season 2, and then going in to 2+, right at that point. And so then we get to another one. We'll kind of work our way bottom up here. Right, we see the next one, which was 9/15, that was posted, and right, this is the most boring season. What the devs doing, right? Again, you see a little bit more frustration. We get the next one, which is, what the devs doing. They already stole a lot. Need to increase VIP to like 20, and then we keep going. We'll see one from November of the 20th, right? Oh, devs can check when people log in and see IP address don't match and basically throw your account away. if you ask for help. We get the next one, which is November 26th, right, getting closer to the end of the year for 2023. I see a lot of reactions here on this one. No research and not being able to join alliance outside starting region is the dumbest thing the devs have ever done. Worse than barricades. Let crybabies be crybabies. Why y'all listen to the little pointy hair YouTuber? Bob, jeez. But right, the focus, and bear in mind, if we're really just focusing on the actual relevant parts here, is that on the research and right, not being able to do the research, right, because you can only do it for the first 7 days, and then you wouldn't be able to do that until the end after the Unscarred chapter, which is basically at the end of the Augerstone. So, for pretty much 90 to 95% of the season, you're not able to research the different zones and or join other alliances, right, via the typical way. So if you had multiple alliances that had territory in the same region, you're not able to join them, right, unless they were in your starting Zone 1. This is one of the reasons why you end up seeing a number of the alliances, for example, EIS, BXS, LSK, right, in the TFS group for the latest T1 season / S2++. That's one of the reasons why they all opted to go to the same starting zone region, so that way they can move between each other, right, in later zones. And so, yeah, and then just talking about, again, didn't agree with it, right, worse than barricades. And this was something that a lot of people just weren't happy about, myself included. It was just more about why make the change, right? What was the reasoning? What was the justification? And there just really wasn't a good enough reasoning at the time, right, for something like that to be made. And we talked about that pretty in length. Then we get to the next one, which is, bro, I can't believe, oh gosh, here we go, sorry, it's just more stuff. YouTuber really messed up the alliance system for everybody, but bruh, I don't give a F. If he got betrayed, now we got betrayed by the devs. I just thought it was funny how he tied that in to the devs part, but and I've commented on this before, right? I don't put anything on any one individual, unless it comes out and it's like, oh yeah, this person's feedback heavily influenced this decision. As I mentioned before with the alliance system on the movement of players, I don't agree with it because I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. I think it hurts the community and the player experience more so than it actually tries to solve this illusionary thing of betrayals, as though you're going to be able to solve that by just limiting movement. You're not at the end of the day, and it's not, like I've commented on this before, it's not a meta, right? It just is what it is. These things can happen in these types of games. So then we get to the next one here, which is oh, here we go. Oh, I didn't actually realize that this was an interaction. So mod's going to need to consider getting more aggressive. Lots of misinformation now, but being spread here to harm my reputation or something. Most Reddits outright ban people for comments half as aggressive as what people are doing here. Interesting. I actually didn't see that before. Wow. Then Crazy says, "Cry more, please. Tell them to change the game how it was. We done with you. We only need you to get devs' attention. Be proud of your popularity." Trisco has 10,000 fans. I am one of them. Trisco has 100 fans. I'm one of them. If he has one fan, I'm one of them. If Trisco, I'm dead. Okay, I didn't really get that one. But yeah, really interesting. I might have to come back on this because I didn't realize that that was a whole thing. Was that just him one? Okay, maybe he just posted that one. Because I remember at a certain point a bunch of posts got deleted too as well. So let's go here, right? Now we'll go to the next one. Oh wait, hang on. Here we go. Let's go. Here we go. Devs have lost their mind, right? This is another one. Then we get to, what was this one? Guess what? Unscarred is the last one. GG. What are the devs thinking? And then here we go, right, bro? The devs, instead of increasing healing, reduce it. I'm asleep. They're literally doing the opposite of what we ask. I mean, yeah, and we've covered this pretty in detail when it comes to looking at the logic behind it, right? Which is, if you want longer fights and you want more sustainable PvP, you don't decrease free healing, you increase it. And the fact is that if the devs took time to look at the duration for how long KVK fights are happening across KVKs, they'll see that on average after passes open, in kind of like if you're looking at a final zone 4, I'll give an example, right? Because we've done a deep dive on this, where we looked at the 9 KVK groups in S2+, and we covered all of them pretty detailed via live streams, video recordings for fights, and what we saw was that within about 2 days, within about 48 hours, the final zone was already decided. Being that one side was pushing and the other side really wasn't pushing or had very little to light resistance. And so they were getting pushed, whether they had connected flags at that point or not. One side was able to kind of stop them, or if they connected flags, they were just kind of consistently getting pushed, even if they did show some resistance here and there. But, 48 hours of fighting when you're kind of waiting a month and a half, give or take, that's just not sustainable. And so again, part of that is a timing thing. Like part of that, we just have to wait for enough time to pass in the game, so enough players train enough troops. But at the same time, reducing free healing also negatively impacts that, because it means that it's going to take that much longer for the average players to get troops back to where they can go out and continue fighting in a sustained way. And again, if you look at some of the data and some of the trends on how these things are playing out, for at least as much as I watch KVKs and enjoy watching them, you'll see a lot of this happening. We even did something where I was doing KVK updates when S2 Plus Final Zone opened basically every day, and we were kind of giving you guys daily updates. And you can see how it played out on how much fighting was happening within the first 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, then how it basically just dissipated and kind of died off to an extent when you're talking about consistent, full, active, engaged players, right, on both sides. Then we get to the next. What do we have? Anything gets the devs I have to delete. So I changed things, but still stuck in zone 1. Oh, this is funny. One of the devs was my uncle, bruh. Devs really think this is sustainable. I mean, again, you can kind of see the trend at this point. Right, then we have this one, right, which is, tell the devs I used to pull over while driving just to play this game and have war addicted to this game more than drugs, and now I don't even get on AK messing with. And you can see this one, right, December 4th, end of the year, messing the game up. I can't PvP while until Does happy. Toto's help by making PvP-based maps. And again, right, I think, Bob, clearly you see some of the indication here is that wanting more PvP. With what I spend, I would have bought one cash. Devs robbed me in broad daylight. I don't really know what that was referring to. Devs give me 5% boost. At the devs, Lord Almighty. The devs nerve me, but up to the devs really. If they make it fun, you can see kind of one of the last posts there. So the thing I want to talk about just generally is that I think when we look at the state of affairs for where the game is currently, the biggest obstacles right now is as it pertains to being able to create an environment where you're able to have a lot of sustainable and long-lasting PvP. And it's important to look at what the trends and the analysis is happening as we get into each KVK season, because with the map variations and some of the changes that have been made recently, it is heavily impacting, and I would say more negative than it is positive. And not negative in a bad way, it's just negative in the sense of that it's not eliciting the reaction that I think the devs are hoping for. And part of that I feel because there's just a disconnect on what maybe the devs' reality is or what their expectations are versus what's actually happening in the game, based on the kind of framework that they're setting up. And like I said, when you look at what's happening in the KVKs right now with how much fighting or lack of fighting that's happening throughout, a big part of it is really you can almost sum it up to players wanting to try and have as much troops available by the time they get to a final zone. And even now, right, you're not seeing, like, there was a situation that just happened a little while ago where TFS and EXG in their KVK were fighting it out in kind of like a fun skirmish for the kill event, right? But I went into the Discord voice. This was last night or the night before, and I went and I talked to them, and they said, yeah, there just wasn't a lot of people that showed up, right? It wasn't like a really heavy based event, even though they were trying to make it out as such. And part of that, I think, is because some people realize how long it takes to obviously retrain troops, and I'm sure others just want to be fully maxed before they go into a final zone. And I think things that will help that, right, in short, would almost be, hey, being able to allow for you to either train troops faster, would be to increase revert free healing to exactly where it was and then potentially look at increasing it. Being able to allow a little bit more free movement. I'm also hoping that when Home Kingdoms come out, if they do end up coming out with Home Kingdom starting zones, I think that could help a lot as well. I think having more balanced matchups on when they're going in to KVKs, where like I said, there's two ways of looking at this, right? You can either say we'll put the top 6 kingdoms together, then we'll put maybe the next top 8 kingdoms together, then we'll put the next top 10 kingdoms together, right? So you can try and get as much activity as possible. I think this will be easier to do if they want to test that out once they allow for cross-season migration to happen. So again, I think there's some things that are going to naturally help this, along with the amount of...
Lisa?
Yeah.
Mia?
Yeah.
Mia hurt her head.
Okay, it's okay. You bring her over.
It was
Okay.
It was an accident.
Okay, I'm coming. Well, she's not crying, so she's all right. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of round out with that on, again, I think there are some things that are going to help this, but there's also some things that are really detrimental, right, towards how the community views the limitations that are almost feels like we're kind of constantly getting nerfed to these extents with the limit on player movement. With the limit on being able to join alliances as well. That's obviously impacting things like rewards and how unions and allies are being formed. And then, again, we look at the trends for KVKs, and you just see that there's not as much overall fighting at the moment that you'd like to see in kind of the sustainable way that's spread out through different zones and pass openings. And like I said, some of those things I think will naturally over time fix themselves, but it's going to take a while compared to also being able to make some in-game adjustments that can help these things as well. And we've talked about it, like I've mentioned before. I mean, I even think, them leaving in runic statues, but just making those things more kind of game mode, right? Why not have, like, you think about a runic statue, why not have 3 areas that you can try and capture? Why not do some kind of, like, team deathmatch or last person standing? Like, you can do fun objective-based events in these types of areas that could really engage a lot of people. So anyways, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think on the state of affairs of the game. What do you think are some things that can maybe increase and make it so PvP can last longer and be more sustained throughout the beginning to the end of the season? Let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, maybe we'll try and get Bob on or do something there. I'll keep reaching out and see if we're able to get, but man, this is just wild to hear. So that's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.